Bonjour and welcome to Chamonix, the home of Tour de Mont Blanc, also known as TMB. As you can see, the scenery around me is just amazing. This is Mont Blanc just up here, and we, as we mentioned last week, are going to be talking to our lead guide, the man, the brains trust behind our VIP Tour de Mont Blanc itinerary, Gary Danes.
All right, guys. So as I promised you, we're going to provide a heap of free content. We have our Tour de Mont Blanc VIP mountain leader, Gary Danes, on the other side of the line. He's at his home in Pyrenees on his way up to Chamonix tonight. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you, Tom. Nice to be speaking to you.
Mate, it's great to get someone with your knowledge, your wisdom. You've been doing this for years and years, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I think at the end of last season, I was like 26, 27 TMBs in and been doing it quite a long time. I've been an IML, an International Mountain Leader, since 2012, and I've been trek leading worldwide since 2004. So, yeah, I've been doing it a long time.
So talk to us about an IML. What is an IML? Because some people obviously ask about it. It's well known within the European Alps, but over here in Australia, in the States, we don't know what it is.
Okay, so definitely in the States and in Australia, you haven't got an equivalent. And so that's why if you come to Europe, you won't find many American or Australian IMLs or tracking guides because, to do the system, you'd have to come over in Europe and do the system through one of the big schemes, the British or the French or the Swiss. So the IML, the International Mountain Leader, is the second highest recognised mountaineering guiding qualification in the world. There's only one of two qualifications that are accepted outside their country of attainment worldwide. One of them is the IFMGA guide, and they're the alpine guides that can take you to the summit of Everest and take you ice climbing or skiing the Valley Blanche or, up to the summit of Mont Blanc. The IML, the International Mountain Leader, is qualified to take you trekking anywhere in the world, worldwide, as long as it's not on glaciated terrain and you're not using equipment of alpinism. So, although we carry a safety rope, it is for that, is safety. If the route that we're using denotes that you have to use a rope to scale it, then we're outside of our remit. And it's the same, I couldn't give you an axe or crampons to use either because that comes into the alpine guide. Apart from that, I can take you up Kilimanjaro, Everest Base Camp, around Tour de Mont Blanc, into Iceland, snowshoeing through Norway, all these type of things. It's a big award. It takes a long time and dedication to get.
It's one of those things, and I think being company operators, we need to have IML guides if we are going to be sending people through the Tour de Mont Blanc. In fact, it's got to the stage now, hasn't it, where they're actually checking to make sure that you are an IML leader.
Yes, they are. It's a legal requirement, especially in France and the alpine areas of Italy and Switzerland. It is a legal requirement, and definitely the last few summers on some of the cols, you've had people from the Sport de Justice and the Gendarmerie waiting at the coals at some of the huts. And as you're coming in with the group, they're just politely coming up, asking to see for your carnet and your carte professionnelle. Because to work in France, which is a really big alpine area, you need a carte professionnelle to operate. And if you haven't got that, you're working illegally. And the only way you can get that is by being an IML, or as they're called in France, an accompagnateur en moyen montagne. So we're the guides of the middle mountains.
I think it's a great thing for the industry, and guys, if you're listening, I think you've just picked up our first tip to make sure if you are speaking with a guide that they are registered, they are licensed under the IML banner. So Gary, I posted some questions. I've come back with the 5 most popular. Number 1, why do you love Tour de Mont Blanc?
Okay, why do I love Tour de Mont Blanc? Well, there's loads of places to trek around the world, Tom, and I've done a lot of them. The thing with the Tour de Mont Blanc for me is that it's a circular walk to start with, and I love circular hikes. You know, the fact that you're not coming back on yourself is really, every day's a new experience. It goes through three big alpine countries: France, Italy, and Switzerland. There's 7 valleys that surround the whole of the massive. Each valley is completely different to the one before, and that goes into like the panoramics and the scenery, into the foods when you cross the different countries, and even the different people. So in the Chamonix Valley, apparently the valley's owned and run by 7 families, the Chamonards. When you go into the Contamine valleys, which is still on the French side, apparently 3 families own the whole of the Contamine Valley, and that goes back to the 1600s and stuff. So lots of history. It's a circular walk. You're going through 7 different valleys in 3 different alpine countries. It's done with a bit of luxury, because you can get baggage transfers, and that's what you guys are providing. Your big bags taken around all the time. You've got the food, the drink, the culture, and you're in sight of these massive glaciers of mountains, and the glaciers are tumbling down towards, sometimes they feel really up close and personal. Yeah, it's very special.
Oh, mate, a very special place, and I've obviously done it a number of times. You've done it, a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Mate, there's got to be one place that sticks out for you, though.
For me, I think it's the Val Veni in Italy. It's really wild. It's the only valley on the whole to the Mont Blanc that there's no habitation, as in people living there full time. Excuse me. There's 2 mountain huts. You've got the Refugio Elisabetta Soldini, and you've got the Chalet de Miage. The Chalet de Miage is small. It's tiny. It only sleeps like 12 or 16 people. It's quite new. The Elisabetta sleeps, I think, 90. But the Elisabetta runs off hydroelectricity. The Chalet de Miage runs off of generators. So there's no electricity in the valley. There's a chance of seeing lots of wild animals. Early on in the season, if the snow's not laying deep, the amount of flowers, the flora and fauna is incredible. And as you come in, you've got the Aiguille Noire, the Putri Ridge, which is the longest alpine ridge line in the Alps. You can see Mont Blanc, the Grand Girades, and you're looking all the way down on a clear day, past where Courmayeur is, all the way to the end of the Val Ferret, where you are the day after Courmayeur. So it's very spectacular.
Oh, mate, it's just bringing back a lot of happy memories for me. So I'm really looking forward to getting back over in June with you and taking the group to have an experience of a lifetime, that's for sure. But I suppose going back to your packing, which is really important, we touched on that you can get your baggage obviously transferred, but what are your most essential items that you like to pack?
Okay, so definitely you should never be without your waterproofs. A lot of people mess up on this, they think, it's June, it's July, it's August, it's whatever, it's summer months in the Alps, it's going to be sunny. But that can change in an instant. You can have snow in August up to like 20 centimetres on the floor overnight. You can have torrential rain, and it can get really cold. So good waterproofs, I think, are very important to pack. And I see some people on the Tour de Mont Blanc with these tiny little bags, and I just know they haven't got enough kit to look after themselves. So the kit to look after itself, basically, good waterproofs, set of good gloves, warm hat, all your sun kit, and any personal meds, and a little first aid kit with lots of blister plasters in. Because you're doing big distances each day, and there's a lot of up and down. So, if your shoes aren't really worn in, you could really come a cropper with blisters. So it's really important. The guides always carry big first aid kits, but obviously they don't carry enough stuff for every single person. So a little first aid kit, personal meds, some blister plasters, and then all the warm stuff. Really, to it's not when it's all sunny; it's when it gets really cold and rainy, Tom.
Mate, absolutely.
Crap hits a fan, and if you're not ready for it, you're stuck on a high coal. It can be really miserable.
And mate, I can tell you when you talk about hitting the fan, mate, it happens more often than you think, because at one moment you can be trekking in 30 degrees Celsius, through the beautiful Alps, and then the next moment you're walking through a blizzard and you can't see in front of you. And that's just the behaviour of mountains all over the world. It's like that, but especially through the European Alps, isn't it?
And I think one of the things that lulls people into a false sense of security is that going around the Tour de Mont Blanc, you've got Chamonix, Courmayeur, Contamine, you've got the little villages. Everyone thinks, well, civilization's not that far away, but actually you're in the big mountains.
Yeah.
When you're on, say, the Col de Saint, going into the Val Veni, you're at 2,517 metres. To get down to Courmayeur is a good 5-6 hours if you're doing it once a lot. And in the summer it's long enough. You really put that bad weather on that, and on that cold sun you can really freeze. So it's important to carry the right kit. Always think a nice little synthetic duvet, something that packs up quite small. Because compared to a normal duvet jacket that when it gets wet loses its heating properties, a little synthetic, even a gilet. So really, you want to keep your core warm. So a synthetic gilet packs up really small. You can put it over your wet waterproof jacket, and off you go.
Yeah, some very wise words there, mate, and certainly don't want to become another statistic in the book as to why you got lost in the region, do you?
So you see a lot of people getting lost, actually.
Yeah, you certainly do, and obviously we'll touch on this later, but it shows the importance of actually having a guide that is either grown up in the area, has been living in the area like yourself. It's so important, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. But I want to talk to you about the difference between a VIP itinerary and, say, just a standard itinerary or going to do yourself. So, mate, you've been the mastermind behind our VIP itinerary. So just for the viewers out there watching this, a VIP itinerary at Adventure Abroad is one where you are given complete access. You're obviously in a small group. You get access to places that trekkers in standard itineraries don't necessarily go. Certainly self-guided tours won't go there. The food's a bit better, the accommodation's better. We get winery days, you get helicopter transfers, so it's complete top end type of experience, and it's a magical experience. But in saying that, there's nothing wrong with a standard itinerary. I do completely agree that you should go with a guide. A standard itinerary is the first one I ever did, and I think it was one of the best experiences of my lifetime. But Gary, can you kind of elaborate on what the difference is between our VIP trip and then what other people might be offering?
Yeah, I think, Tom, one of the things you touched on was like the winery days and, as you say, the helicopter transfers and stuff. And it really I think as well the fact that having guides that really know the area and been doing it a long time. They know a lot of local people. They know a lot of local culture and backgrounds that you wouldn't normally get. I think as well the fact that everything's been put together for you. So on a VIP trip, you don't have to do anything, and you don't have to spend 6 months back at home in Australia and to try and plan where this bus goes to and that bus goes to, and can I get a bed in this dormitory, but I don't really want to be in a dormitory. I'd like, single room and that I think is very special, because a lot of people don't really have time for that, especially people that can afford to do these type of trips. They're very business, they're very busy business people, and to come home after a hard day's work and do this more stress, and then get on holiday and link that all together from what they've done at home to put it into real life action. When you get home, a lot of times on a big trip, you feel as though you need a holiday to get over the holiday because it's such hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think on a VIP trip, you go home feeling as though you've really excelled at working, because it is tough. It's a big trip, but you come back relaxed with it, with just great memories, because you've been cared for, you've been looked after, and nothing's an issue. And I think that's one of the things that everyone needs to remember, is that nothing's an issue. Us guides, we're not mind readers, but we're really good at what we do. That's why we're working for you, Tom. And the thing is that if someone comes to us with whatever issue it is, we can find a solution pretty much straight away. So, and I think that's the difference with a VIP as well. instant solutions to instant issues, which you're not going to get on standard itineraries. You're not going to get if you're self-guided. And if you're doing it by yourself and you're carrying a lot of your own stuff, it can be really tough, to have that comfort there and knowing you've got someone looking after you, making sure you can get the very best you can get, then, what more can you ask for?
Absolutely. I think you've summed that up really well, which really leads me on to our final question is the benefits of actually having a licensed guide compared to, say, a self-guided trip. I think the one thing that really stands out to me when you talk is issues, because things do come with issues at times. We've got different languages, obviously different terrains, different weather patterns. No trip is ever the same. So there are guidebooks out there that are great. They're a great read. They can fill you with knowledge, but the book doesn't know what weather you're going to experience at times. And I can say this from experience. There might be a turn off with a sign, but you can't see it because it's white.
Yeah. And also maybe that signpost has been knocked down and destroyed in the winter in the snow, and they've not replaced it, so the authorities didn't know about it. You see a lot of people travelling with a guidebook and no map, and even if they did have a map, if they haven't got a compass, no point having a map if you can't read a map and use a map and a compass. So you see a lot of people travelling just with a guidebook, which is quite ironic, and you see a lot of people getting lost. So over the last couple of seasons, my wife used to be the manager at the Refugio Elisabetta. She's left now. But so when I'd be speaking with her or going up to stay with her at the start of the season, especially if there's snow, some people would be leaving from the colder Quai de Bonhomme, and they won't be getting to the Elisabetta at till 10 o'clock at night because they've gone wrong and they're taking the wrong valley, and because everything's meant to be signposts, but it's not like that. If the bad weather comes in, you start getting cold, your decision making starts getting poor. So having a guide, having a legal guide to start with, because you don't want to be with an illegal guide, because if anything happens, they're going to be arrested and taken off the hill. So are you, so your holiday's finished to start with.
Yeah.
And on the other side, the guides, we carry a lot of first aid kit. So 2/3 of my bag is full of a very big comprehensive first aid kit, a safety rope, a satellite phone, maps and compasses, emergency group shelters, everything that a guide should be carrying. Then on top of that, you don't need to get up in the morning and think about where you've got to go. The guide's going to tell you. And they're going to know, okay, guys, we're going to come down here. It's going to be a bit rocky now. You need to take a bit of care. Okay, so Sally, you're a little bit scared of heights. If you come with me at this moment. So it's that knowing what's coming ahead is really important, I think, to have the guide. They can tell you lots about the flora and fauna and the history and the culture. And if they're a guide that's been doing it a long time, they probably know all the hut guardians and most of the hoteliers, which means that if there's any issues, it's very easy for them to fix things as well. And if there was an emergency, they know the procedures to deal with it there and then, keep the group as safe as possible and to call in the emergency services. So, lots to be said about doing it with a guide.
Absolutely, and I think especially if you don't know the area, like anywhere, things can just. Trekking comes with its risks, doesn't it? And I just think it's always good to just have the guide in the background to take the hassle away from the hassle, because like I said, if you're trying to speak Italian, you don't know Italian, or you're trying to speak French to the authorities, you don't know French, you're in parts of Switzerland that you just don't know. There's it's certainly money very well spent on a guide. That's certainly for sure. But if you are thinking about a self-guided tour, make sure you do your due diligence, do your research. Don't go there with a blind eye, because things can change very quickly.
They can very much.
And don't be like we said before, one of those statistics to be caught out. But Gary, we're going to let you go now. We really appreciate your time. I'm sure there's I,
Just speaking to you, Tom.
I could talk to you for hours and hours. I love talking to you, but you're obviously not born and bred in France because you do have the strong English accent. Australia this year will be a bit happy with our latest Ashes win, but mate, thank you so much for your time. But enjoy Chamonix. It's a beautiful time of the year to be there. It's winter. It's plenty of skiing to be had. They've had a great snow season. But mate, thanks again for your time.
No problem, Tom, and I'll speak to you very soon.